God never changes, but his seasons do. His nature is eternal, consistent, immovable. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Yet though his character remains unchanged, his strategies shift with the times and his movements align with divine timing. He is a God of seasons. And to walk with him effectively, you must not only know his voice, you must discern his timing. The tragedy for many believers is that they are in relationship with an unchanging God, but remain blind to the changing seasons of his move. They are holding on to a method that no longer carries his presence. They are depending on manna that has already ceased to fall. And they wonder why favor seems distant, blessings delayed, breakthrough suspended. It's not because God has forgotten them. It's because they have failed to shift with the season. Seasons in the spirit realm are not measured by clocks and calendars, but by purpose and timing. Just as the sons of Issachar were praised for understanding the times and knowing what Israel ought to do, so must you become sensitive to when heaven is signaling a transition. If God is moving you into a season of blessing and extraordinary favor, you must be able to perceive the shift before you see the shift. Spiritual movement always precedes physical manifestation. And if you wait to move only when you see results, you'll always be late. By the time the rain falls, Noah had already built the ark. By the time Pharaoh called for Joseph, Joseph had already been trained in the prison. You cannot respond to seasons with delayed obedience. Heaven moves by revelation, not reaction. God doesn't bless you because you are busy. He blesses you because you are aligned. Many people are trapped in old seasons, not because they are out of God's will, but because they refuse to update their expectation. They are trying to fit new wine into old wineskins. They are speaking faith with their mouths, but living fear with their decisions. They are asking for rain, but still carrying umbrellas of doubt. They are praying for opportunity, but refusing to release the familiarity of past provision. God cannot elevate what you refuse to release. If you don't let go of what was, you will resist what is. The reason God shifts seasons is not to frustrate you. It is to form you. A new season is a divine classroom for a new level of destiny. If you stay in a season beyond its expiration, what once fed you will now frustrate you. What once blessed you will now burden you. Not because it is bad, but because it is no longer God's method for your now. God is not a God of random motion. He is a God of intentional movement. Everything he does is tied to eternal purpose. When he shifts you, he is not trying to confuse you. He is preparing to reveal something through you. Favor is not given for decoration, it is released for demonstration. And before God moves you into a season of blessing, he will always test your sensitivity to his timing. Can you move when there is no evidence? Can you respond to a whisper when others are waiting for a shout? Can you leave the comfort of what worked yesterday to embrace the uncertainty of today, trusting that his word is enough to sustain you? You must understand that divine seasons are often invisible to the natural eye. The world may see chaos, but heaven sees alignment. The people around you may see delay, but heaven sees development. God often wraps your next season in what looks like contradiction to see if you'll walk by faith or fold under pressure. When Joseph was sold into slavery, it looked like demotion, but it was transportation. When David was sent back to tend sheep, it looked like rejection, but it was preparation. When Jesus was led into the wilderness, it looked like isolation, but it was elevation. God often hides favor in the form of frustration because he wants to see who can discern the difference between temporary discomfort and divine direction. You cannot judge the season by how it feels. You must judge it by what it's forming in you. A season of extraordinary favor is not just about open doors. It's about open eyes. God wants to bless you, but more than that, he wants you to recognize the blessing. You can only walk in what you are aware of. If your perception is off, your participation will be limited. You'll walk through favor and call it coincidence. You'll encounter increase and call it random. You'll receive provision and call it luck. The enemy cannot cancel God's plan, so he attacks your ability to perceive the plan. That's why your discernment is your defense in this season. There is a divine summons being issued in the realm of the Spirit. Heaven is declaring a new season over your life. Not just a season of transition, but a season of manifestation. Not just survival, but success. Not just scraping by, but standing tall. You are moving into a season where God is about to exceed your expectations, overturn demonic limitations, and accelerate divine connections. But none of this can happen if you remain anchored to an expired season. Just because it was blessed in the past doesn't mean it's still your blueprint now. God does not consult your past to design your future. If he's calling you forward, don't let your history become a handicap. Don't allow nostalgia to become the noose that strangles your next. There is a shift happening not just around you, but within you. The discomfort you feel is the sound of stretching. The unsettledness you sense is the sign of promotion. The doors that are closing are not punishment. They are preparation. God is closing what was good to make room for what is greater. You prayed for favor, but favor requires flexibility. You asked for blessings, but blessings demand obedience. If you want to walk into the new, you must be willing to release the old. You cannot enter the promised land with the mindset of Egypt. You cannot receive the new oil while holding on to old vessels. God is moving, but are you? This is the season where delay must be dethroned and destiny must be pursued. This is the time to move with intention, speak with authority, and act with confidence. Not because you have all the answers, but because you trust the one who holds the outcome. You are not waiting on God, He is waiting on your agreement. When you align with the season, you align with the supply. When you shift with God, you unlock the supernatural. This is not just a season of change, it is a season of divine release. But the release is reserved for those who recognize the moment. Heaven is declaring over you the season has shifted. Favor is moving. Blessings are approaching. Get ready to move. Blessings are always connected to movement. God does not bless you where you are. He blesses you where He told you to go. Throughout Scripture, there is a consistent pattern: divine instruction, human obedience, supernatural manifestation. There is no miracle in the Bible without a movement. When God spoke to Abraham, He did not bless him in Ur. He said, "Go to a land I will show you, and there I will bless you." The promise was attached to the movement. Abraham had to leave comfort, leave culture, leave familiarity, and walk into the unknown with nothing but a word. But when he moved, heaven moved with him. Favor followed his feet. Blessing was activated by obedience. The Red Sea didn't part while Moses was praying. It parted when he lifted the rod and stepped forward. The walls of Jericho didn't fall while Joshua was meditating. They fell when the people marched. The man with the withered hand wasn't healed while sitting still. He was healed when he stretched. The blind man didn't receive sight while waiting. He had to walk to the pool of Siloam. Still blind, still uncertain, still vulnerable. But in his movement, the miracle met him. Over and over again, we see that heaven responds to obedience. God doesn't reward hesitation. He honors bold, faith-filled steps. Too many people are praying for blessings in places God never told them to stay. They want God to bless the past. They want Him to anoint what He's already moved on from. They're asking for new harvest in old fields. But God is not obligated to bless disobedience, even if it's comfortable. He is not moved by your convenience. He is moved by your compliance. Blessings don't chase people standing still. They pursue those who are in motion, those who are willing to leave comfort for calling, those who are ready to trade safety for strategy, those who can obey without full explanation. The blessing is not just about location. It's about alignment. Are you where He told you to be? Are you doing what He told you to do? Because the anointing only flows where obedience is present. God told Elijah to go to the brook, and there the ravens would feed him. Provision was assigned to a place. If Elijah had stayed in his own logic, he would have starved. If he had allowed fear to freeze him, he would have missed the supernatural. But because he moved, he experienced what others only prayed about. When God moves, you must move. And when you move, you make room for heaven to manifest. Movement is not always physical. Sometimes it's mental, emotional, spiritual. Some of you are in the right place, but you're carrying the wrong mindset. You've entered the new, but you're still operating with old thinking. And that stagnation in your perspective is restricting what God wants to release. God cannot pour new blessings into old patterns. You must shift your mentality before you can receive your miracle. You must upgrade your expectation before you can experience elevation. Favor flows where faith goes, and faith is never static. It is always reaching, stretching, stepping. Every act of obedience is a seed of movement, and every seed sown in faith carries a harvest of divine response. God doesn't just call you to move for the sake of movement. He calls you because something is waiting on the other side. The blessing is not behind you. It's not where you were. It's not in the nostalgia of yesterday. It's in the obedience of now. And sometimes the biggest step of faith is to stop explaining your movement to people who didn't hear what God told you. You don't need everyone's approval to move. You need heaven's instruction. You don't need the crowd's validation. You need the King's direction. There's a reason the cloud moved in the wilderness. It was God's way of teaching His people to follow presence, not preference. As long as they moved with the cloud, they were protected. As long as they moved with the cloud, they were provided for. But if they stayed still when God moved, they became vulnerable. It is no different today. When God shifts, you must shift. When he says move, delay becomes disobedience. When he says go, hesitation becomes rebellion. The speed of your obedience often determines the size of your breakthrough. This is not the time to be stagnant in your spirit. This is not the season to sit on what God placed in you. It is time to stir up the gift. It is time to activate the word. It is time to take the step. You don't need all the answers, just a clear instruction. You don't have to see the whole path. Just obey the next step. When Peter stepped out of the boat, he walked on water. But the water didn't carry him, the word did. Come. That one word had enough power to hold him above what others were sinking in. When you move in obedience, even what was meant to drown you will begin to support you. Blessings are waiting. Favor is positioned. But heaven is watching. Will you move? Will you shift when he speaks? Will you walk when others stay behind? Because the blessing is not where you've been. It's in the step you haven't taken yet. The next level is not coming to you. You must go to it. The miracle is not stuck. It's scheduled. But it's activated by your movement. So move not by sight, but by faith. Move not by fear, but by obedience. Move not because you understand everything, but because you trust the one who does. God is ready to bless, but are you ready to move? Favor is assignment-driven, not emotion-driven. God is not moved by how you feel. He is moved by how you align. Heaven doesn't operate on emotional appeal. It operates on divine agenda. You cannot manipulate God with tears, complaints, or emotional exhaustion. You attract favor not by pleading for it, but by positioning yourself under the weight of your assignment. Favor is not a random act of kindness from heaven. It is a deliberate response to purpose. When your life is aligned with what God created you to do, favor becomes the natural result. It's not something you chase, it chases you. It's not something you beg for. It's something that locates you when you walk in divine order. The reason many are frustrated in their faith is because they are trying to pull favor into areas God never assigned them to. They are asking God to finance what he never authorized, to bless what he never built, to endorse what he never initiated. God does not fund rebellion even when it's religious. He does not anoint confusion even when it's well-intended. You cannot walk in the fullness of favor if you are walking outside the boundaries of your purpose. That's why discovering your assignment is not optional. It's essential. Because where purpose is known, favor becomes predictable. Look at the life of Nehemiah. He was not a priest, not a prophet, not a miracle worker. He was a cupbearer, an administrator. Yet when he stepped into his divine assignment to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, doors opened. Kings financed him, enemies couldn't stop him. Resources came to him. Why? Because favor is not reserved for the pulpit. It is released wherever purpose is being pursued. Heaven is not impressed by titles. Heaven is activated by obedience. When Nehemiah aligned with his kingdom assignment, favor covered him like a shield. The same applies to you. Your calling is the container that holds your favor. You must understand, favor is not about convenience, it's about calling. Favor is not God making your life easier, it's God empowering you to fulfill your purpose. Sometimes favor will look like trouble. Sometimes favor will take you into storms, into battles, into fires, because the favor of God is not about your comfort, it's about your completion. Ask Joseph. The favor on his life didn't keep him out of the pit. It preserved him through it. It didn't stop the prison. It used the prison to position him for the palace. His dream wasn't fueled by ease, it was forged in resistance. But through it all, the Lord was with him. And that's what favor is, the unmistakable presence of God on your life in pursuit of a divine assignment. Favor doesn't always look like what you expected. It's not always applause, open doors, and perfect conditions. Sometimes favor is God saying no to good things so you can say yes to the God thing. Sometimes favor is God stripping away distractions, breaking attachments, and unsettling your comfort so he can recalibrate your focus. Don't confuse discomfort with disapproval. Don't misinterpret challenge as a lack of favor. Often the greater the assignment, the greater the resistance, and the greater the favor released to carry it. The problem is, many people want the benefits of favor without the burden of assignment. They want the crown without the cross. They want increase without instruction. They want prosperity without purpose. But God is not a divine vending machine. He is a king. And kings release favor in accordance with the function of a citizen. If you are not functioning in your designed role, you cannot expect the privileges assigned to that role. Favor is not about favoritism. It is about functionality. When you are functioning in your God-ordained assignment, favor becomes your inheritance. This is why identity is critical. If you don't know who you are, you will always abuse what you carry. You will settle for people's approval instead of God's assignment. You'll chase platforms rather than fulfill purpose. You'll spend your life performing instead of producing. And that misalignment will repel favor rather than attract it. God's favor is magnetic, but only to those who walk in their design. The anointing is not for entertainment. It is for effectiveness. God gives you what you need to accomplish what He sent you to do. You don't need to compete for favor. You don't need to compare for favor. You just need to complete your assignment. You are not here by accident. You are not alive in this generation by mistake. You were created with a solution in your spirit, a gift in your hands, and a mission in your soul. And when you commit to walking in that divine blueprint, favor will find you. You won't have to manipulate doors. They'll open. You won't have to chase people. They'll come. You won't have to explain yourself. Results will speak for you. Because favor authenticates the sent ones. It validates what God has commissioned. And when you live on assignment, favor becomes your signature. Stop trying to feel your way into favor. Walk your way into alignment. Stop waiting for confirmation from others. God already confirmed you when He called you. Favor does not follow feelings. It follows function. And the moment you step fully into your assignment, you'll discover that everything you were praying for was already assigned to the place of your obedience. Favor is not elusive, it's located. And its address is always the center of your assignment. Preparation is proof of expectation. You do not prepare for what you do not expect. And you cannot say you are waiting on God if your life shows no evidence of readiness. Expectation is not a feeling, it is a discipline. It is not a vague hope, it is a deliberate lifestyle. If you truly believe that God is moving you into a season of blessings and extraordinary favor, then your behavior should already reflect the future you say you believe. Your preparation becomes the prophetic announcement that you trust what God has spoken, even if nothing around you looks like it yet. Faith is not just shouting about the promise. It's setting the table before the miracle arrives. If God told you the rain is coming, then you should already be digging ditches. If He said the doors are opening, you should already be writing the vision. If He said increase is coming, you should be stewarding what you have as though expansion is inevitable. God watches not only what you believe, but how you behave while you believe. If you say He's about to do something, then how you manage your time, how you prepare your mind, how you posture your spirit must align with that declaration. Preparation separates the hearers from the doers. Many hear the word, few prepare for its fulfillment. Many receive the prophecy, but only a remnant builds the infrastructure to carry it. You cannot expect harvest and refuse to sow. You cannot speak growth but live disorganized. You cannot declare favor and walk in fear. True expectation reorganizes your priorities. It sharpens your focus. It calls you out of passivity and into purpose. Expectation pushes you to clean the vessel, sharpen the tools, clear the clutter, and make room for what's coming. Throughout Scripture, God never sent provision to people who were unprepared. He sent manna to a moving Israel. He multiplied oil in empty vessels that had been gathered in advance. He filled nets that had been stretched out in obedience. He turned water into wine in jars that were already set up and ready. He didn't create a boat for Noah. He told Noah to build one. The pattern is clear. Divine outpouring responds to human preparation. God does the miracle, but you must do the management. God gives the blessing, but you must make space for it. If you're not making room, you're not expecting anything. You say you're believing for a season of blessing, but have you positioned your life for it? Have you adjusted your attitude, upgraded your mindset, reordered your relationships, cleansed your heart, and aligned your habits? Because blessings are weighty. Favor is heavy. Increase is not for the casual, it is for the committed. If God gave you today what you're asking for, would it crush you or would you carry it? Could your current structure support the next level you're praying for? Could your current discipline sustain the elevation you claim to believe in? Heaven releases to those who are ready, not those who are merely inspired. God does not bless wishful thinking. He blesses intentional living. An intention without preparation is just fantasy. If you say you're about to step into a new season, then your language, your posture, your schedule, your priorities must begin to reflect the reality of what's coming. Faith without preparation is just noise. It's like planting no seed and still expecting a harvest. It's like packing no bags and still claiming to be ready to move. It's spiritual laziness dressed in religious vocabulary. Heaven is not impressed by your declarations. It responds to your preparation. Preparation is the atmosphere where miracles are born. When Elijah heard the sound of the abundance of rain, there were no clouds in the sky. No thunder, no wind, no sign. But he ran ahead anyway. He told Ahab to eat and drink because something was coming. He got into position to pray. He sent his servant to look again and again, not because he saw something, but because he heard something. Expectation moved him before manifestation ever appeared. That's what faith does. It builds before the contract is signed. It worships before the breakthrough. It studies before the opportunity. It prepares as if the outcome is already settled. Some of you are declaring a season of blessings, but your life still looks like survival mode. You're expecting increase, but still managing decrease. You're praying for opportunity, but still thinking like captivity. If your preparation doesn't match your prophecy, you will abort what God is trying to birth. You don't get ready when it comes. You get ready because it's coming. The oil was poured on David long before he ever sat on a throne. But he prepared in obscurity. He trained with lions and bears. He sharpened his sling. He developed skill in secret. So when the moment came, he didn't panic, he performed. Preparation is what makes you ready for doors that suddenly open. Don't wait for the email to prepare your resume. Don't wait for the call to polish your gift. Don't wait for the platform to refine your message. Prepare now. Move now. Live now like the favor is already on its way. You don't have time to catch up later. You must get ahead now. Blessings are coming to those who are already in motion. Favor is about to fall on the ready. And if you truly believe you're stepping into a new season, then let your preparation speak louder than your proclamation. Your readiness is the seed that tells heaven, I'm not just excited, I'm aligned. But your past season was training for your favor season. What you went through was not wasted. What you survived was not random. Every sleepless night, every closed door, every silent prayer, every delayed answer was not God ignoring you. It was God preparing you. You were not being punished. You were being processed. You were not forgotten. You were being formed. God was not holding you back. He was holding you together. Because what's coming is too weighty to rest on untested shoulders. The next level of favor requires a deeper level of foundation. The elevation you're about to step into needs a strength you wouldn't have had if you hadn't been through the crushing. Heaven never promotes without preparation. Favor doesn't just fall. It's assigned to those who can carry it. God will never give you what you're not ready to manage. So instead of asking, why did it take so long? Ask, what did he build in me while I waited? That delay was divine. That heartbreak was part of the blueprint. That loss forced you to depend on him more deeply. That rejection pushed you into discovery. That season of silence sharpened your ears to recognize his whisper. While you were weeping, he was working. While you were wondering, he was weaving together strength, wisdom, and resilience in the unseen places of your soul. Joseph's dream came in his youth, but the favor came after the pit, after the betrayal, after the prison. He didn't step into the palace with a spoiled heart. He stepped in with a seasoned spirit. God allowed him to be misunderstood, mistreated, and mishandled, not because he was cruel, but because he was cultivating leadership, integrity, patience, and perspective. You can't be trusted with the weight of national influence if you're still wounded by personal offense. You can't stand in the fullness of favor if you still crumble under pressure. That's why God sent you through seasons that forced you to grow, stretch, forgive, and persevere, because he was preparing you to handle what's next without falling apart. There are some lessons you can't learn in success. There are some truths that only pain can teach. There are some muscles that only resistance can build. You prayed for favor, and God answered with a furnace. You asked for blessings, and God gave you a battle, not because he wanted to break you, but because he wanted to build in you something unshakable. If God gave it to you too soon, it would have crushed you. If he opened the door too early, you would have walked in unprepared and walked out wounded. But now, you're different. You're not the same person who cried in that last season. You're wiser. You're tougher. You're rooted. And now you're ready. Don't despise the past season. It was your classroom. Every setback taught you strategy. Every delay trained your discernment. Every time you didn't get what you wanted, God was teaching you to want what he wanted. He was aligning your desires with his will. Now you don't just want the blessing. You're ready for the burden that comes with it. You don't just want the platform. You're ready for the pressure. You don't just want the overflow. You're ready to be a steward. That's the evidence that you passed the test. Before David faced Goliath, he faced the lion and the bear. Those weren't random attacks. They were divine rehearsals. He didn't know it then, but each battle was training him for the battlefield that would unlock his national recognition. That favor moment didn't start on the battlefield. It started in the fields of obscurity, where nobody was watching. That's where he learned to fight. That's where he learned to worship. That's where he learned to listen to God. Don't curse the field. It prepared you for the fight. The favor season is coming, but it's not coming to someone unformed. It's coming to someone forged. That's what you are. You are not broken, you are built. You are not ruined, you are refined. You are not delayed, you are developed. God has been shaping you for such a time as this. What others called failure, God called formation. What others said disqualified you, God used to qualify you. You are stepping into a season where everything you've survived becomes your strength. Everything that hurt you now becomes a harvest. Everything you lost becomes the soil where favor grows. Your past was preparation. The pain had purpose. The waiting was a weapon. And now, you are standing on the edge of everything you were prepared for. This is not the time to question your worth. This is the moment to recognize your readiness. What you cried about, you're about to testify about. What once wounded you, you'll soon walk on. What tried to break you only built you. Favor is not random. It is the reward for the one who didn't quit, who didn't turn back, who didn't curse God in the storm, but kept walking, kept worshiping, and kept believing. So when the favor falls, don't forget the fire. When the blessing arrives, don't forget the breaking. When the doors open, don't forget the days you were locked in. Because what's about to be released on your life isn't magic. It's manifestation. And your past season was the soil that made it possible. You're not just walking into a season of favor. You're stepping into the fulfillment of everything God was preparing you for. The door will open, but you must walk through it. God is a door opener, but He is not a door pusher. He creates opportunities, but He does not force you into them. He sets the stage, but you must step out. He prepares the table, but you must take a seat. Divine favor is not passive. It requires participation. This is the season where obedience must walk hand in hand with boldness. The door you've been praying for is about to swing wide open, but if you don't move, you'll stand in front of it and miss what was meant for you. Heaven is not in the business of dragging people into destiny. God respects your will too much to override it. He opens doors, but it is your responsibility to recognize, respond, and move. Opportunities are time-sensitive. Delayed obedience is often disobedience in disguise. Some doors don't stay open forever. They open for a moment long enough for you to move by faith, and then they close behind you to protect what's on the other side. If you hesitate, you'll forfeit. If you second guess, you'll miss the momentum. God opened the Red Sea, but the Israelites had to walk through it. If they had stood still in awe or fear, Pharaoh would have overtaken them. The miracle wasn't just in the opening, it was in the moving. You've been praying for God to do something new, but are you ready to walk into it? Are you willing to let go of what's behind you so you can reach for what's before you? Open doors often require closed chapters. You can't carry Egypt through a Canaan door. You can't bring bitterness into a blessing. You can't drag old mindsets into new miracles. The door is open, but the baggage must be dropped. That's why some people stand in front of open doors, but never walk through. The fear of leaving behind what's familiar becomes stronger than the faith to step into what's possible. But this is not the season to freeze. This is the season to move. Doors don't open for the qualified, they open for the called. But being called isn't enough. You must respond. Heaven will not do your part. God gave Noah the blueprint, but Noah had to build. God gave Moses the rod, but Moses had to stretch it. God gave Peter the word, come. But Peter had to step out of the boat. God opened the door, but they moved. That's the model. Divine initiation, human participation. God's power, your partnership. Favor doesn't excuse you from effort. It empowers you for movement. You must silence every voice of fear that tells you the open door is a trap. You must shut down every internal critic that says you're not ready. You must ignore the crowd that is comfortable outside, watching the door but never entering. God didn't open it for the crowd, He opened it for the called. For you, the blessing is real, the invitation is personal. But the movement is your responsibility. Some of the greatest opportunities of your life will not come with confirmations. They will come with courage. You won't get a full explanation. You'll get a nudge, a moment, a window. And what you do in that moment will determine what you walk into. When Joshua stood before the walls of Jericho, God gave him a strategy, but Joshua still had to march. He had to lead the people in obedience that made no logical sense. But the walls didn't fall because of noise, they fell because of obedience. The breakthrough didn't happen because they stood and prayed. It happened because they moved at the right time. The same is true for you. There's a door with your name on it. It's not random, it's been prepared. But God will not shove you into your destiny, you must step into it. This is the season for decisive movement. No more double-mindedness. No more waiting for signs when you already have a word. No more asking for another confirmation when God has already opened the way. This is the season to move in faith. To walk even when you can't see the full hallway. To obey even when you don't understand the outcome. To trust that if God opened it, He already made provision on the other side. You don't have to know everything, you just need to go. The blessing is waiting, but the movement is yours. The door is open, but the decision is yours. God has done His part. Now it's your turn. Don't let fear hold your feet. Don't let doubt delay your destiny. The door was never the destination, it's just the threshold. What God has prepared for you on the other side is greater than anything you've seen, but you'll never taste it if you never take the step. So walk. Walk by faith. Walk with boldness. Walk knowing that heaven is backing you, because when God opens a door, He has already equipped you to walk through it. The only question now is, will you? My friend, you are not standing in an ordinary moment. You are standing on the threshold of divine transition. Heaven is signaling a shift. The King is summoning you forward. This is not the time to doubt, to delay, or to dwell in the safety of yesterday. This is the season to move, strategically, boldly, and purposefully. You were not created to camp outside the door. You were not redeemed to remain in cycles of stagnation. You were born for movement, molded for purpose, and assigned for impact. Every trial behind you was training. Every closed door was redirection. Every delay was a divine setup. And now the door is open, the cloud is moving. The trumpet is sounding, favor is flowing. But hear me, God does not move in your life beyond your decision to align with His will. Favor is not attracted to wishes, it is drawn to purpose. Blessings do not rest on the passive, they rest on the prepared. Destiny does not answer to feelings, it answers to obedience. And obedience is not delayed reaction, it is immediate alignment. This is your call to rise, to awaken, to take your place in the unfolding agenda of heaven, not just for your own elevation, but because nations are attached to your obedience. Generations are depending on your movement. You are not just walking into blessing, you are walking into responsibility. This season is not just about what you receive, but about what you release. So I charge you, get ready to move. Prepare like it's already yours. Step like you've already been sent. Walk like heaven has already written your name on the next level. Because it has. And the King who opened the door is watching to see. Will you walk through it? The time is not coming. The time is now. Favor is not on the way. Favor is here. The door is not about to open. The door is already unlocked. Get up. Move forward. Walk in. The season has changed. And so must you.